Hey guys, in this video I wanted to do something a little bit different. I'm going to be talking about a LinkedIn post that I recently made. And the idea for this post sort of came from this YouTube channel where I got a comment asking about university degrees in the games industry and whether or not they really matter. So, I'm going to read out the post and I'm going to sort of, explain a bit, why I decided to post it onto LinkedIn and stuff like that. So the main thing about this post was that it managed to get a lot of attention. I think it was like 15,000 views or something on LinkedIn, which is not normal for my usual LinkedIn post or anything like that. I just have a few thousand followers, so I usually get maybe 1,000 or 2,000 hits per post. But something about this topic was really sticky, and I think it really meant a lot to a lot of people. So that's why I'm going to make this little video here, sort of explaining my view on it and explaining the sort of situation. Now this was a bit of a sort of inflammatory post, I guess. You could say that maybe some people, it's maybe divisive. So we'll see what you guys think. And if you disagree with me, by all means, leave a comment in the comment box below. And if you agree with me, the same, please. But, this is something that, I think it's really important to make sure that, people understand this and really carefully select, when they go into university. So here's the post. So the post reads, "Be careful about signing up to any game design or development degree. There are lots of useless courses where they teach outdated methods. In the UK, it costs over £27,000 for 3 years of university tuition. So it's not just taxpayers' money, they're taking the money from young people's future by saddling them in debt. All of that for a degree that may be worthless in the end. I've been given the responsibility of selecting new hires many times in the past, and I can tell you I wasn't looking for what degree they had. I only cared about the portfolio. That's all that matters when you have to sift through hundreds of candidates. And by all means, go to university. However, the most important thing to remember is it's not the degree, it's the skills." And then I put hashtag game art, game design, game dev, and hashtag university. And that post managed to get about 15,000 views and started trending in hashtag university, and got picked up by quite a few people that shared it, and it got plenty of comments. So it was a really obvious to me that this is a very important issue, and that it's something that I really think that people need to be aware of when they're reaching that sort of age of 17, 18, and they're thinking about sort of signing up for a game design or development degree. Then it's really important that they don't end up in a degree where the course isn't right. And what I mean by there are plenty of useless degrees, I mean that these are degrees that are teaching workflows and methods from 15 years ago. So that'll be things like everything has its place. Don't get me wrong. There are still methods and methodologies that make sense in its certain place nowadays. But for something like for instance, when you take a rock and you sculpt it, rather than taking something like a photogrammetry rock from a library, that's something that I would say, 9 times out of 10 is a massive waste of time. And you should, if you can find something in a library and use that instead, that's usually a better choice. And if you can somehow adapt that library object to your own game, that's a much better choice. That's just an example. Of course, not every situation warrants that. Sometimes you have to sculpt stuff. If you're a big AAA game, usually you're going to be probably taking your own photogrammetry or sculpting everything. But if you're an indie developer and you're trying to sculpt every single rock in your game, you're going to be wasting a lot of time. So there are certain things where there are certain technologies that have taken over the industry and that are used more predominantly today by AAA games companies that are super important for people to learn. And there are some courses out there that aren't teaching those skills. They, either have old software, old techniques, and it's just not good. So be very, very careful when you sign up for a course that you make sure that they're teaching the latest methods. The other thing that I would say is about the sort of hiring and sort of selection phase. It is all about the portfolio. So when you come out of a degree, if you don't have the skills, you're not going to make it past that sort of selection process of candidates. And when I was hiring, candidates, and I had to do this at different times, sometimes for Crytek, once for Quixel, and I was like sort of trying to come up with people that I can say, hey, this is an artist that we should hire, or that's an artist that we should hire. Or I was looking through sort of portfolios and seeing like, it would be cool if we could get an artist that could do this or that. And when you're going through these portfolios, you can have hundreds of candidates. If they're applying to a games company that's a big AAA games company like Crytek, you'll get hundreds of candidates, and you'll have to go through those, and you do not have all day. You will maybe have 20 minutes per day where you can maybe go through and sort of approve, decline, that kind of stuff. And in those sort of situations, you need to be able to be very fast with viewing the portfolio. So I usually gave it 5 to 10 seconds, and if I don't see something really cool within the first sort of 10 seconds, first couple images, I'm not going to stick to that portfolio for much longer, and I'm going to go on to the next one. Especially if I see something bad, I'm going to the next one. And it's the same thing with sort of if the web page doesn't load fast enough, that kind of thing, that's also not a good sign. So it is quite a ruthless selection system, but if you have a good portfolio, or you have some great cover image on your portfolio that's it's the pinnacle of your work and it's the best thing that you've done so far, the chances are I'm not going to skip ahead and go to something else. I'm going to go, oh wow, this guy is actually he's awesome. He's got some really good skills, and then I'm going to dig deeper. I'm going to find out where you worked, or what degree you did, or whatever. But I'm not going to give you the time of day if you don't get past that first hurdle. So there's that first hurdle. If you don't have a good portfolio, why bother? Why am I going to bother? So it is a bit ruthless. I mean, I would like to try. I try not to be ruthless about it. I try not to be evil about it. If there's a page that's not loading, I will leave it into another tab and just see if it does load eventually. And if it's bad work, it's not like I'm hating on it or something. It's just that it's not what I would be looking for, from a candidate. So yeah, these sort of situations they're a bit cutthroat, but that's really how the industry works. So the number one advice, just like I said in that post, the skills are what matters. The skills, making sure that you have the skills, making sure that if you're taking a degree, it doesn't matter if it's a crap degree. If you're in a crap degree right now, I totally feel for you, but don't worry about it. What's happened has happened. You're in that situation, but now you can move on. You can go onto YouTube. You can learn for yourself. That's what this whole thing is for. That's why I created the Brushify Bootcamp. It's one of the reasons I created Brushify. It's because I want to make it simpler for people to be able to learn and pick up these sort of skills online and start their game development careers. And so I think if you can try to learn the skills, go onto YouTube, learn them there. If you can find a really good game design or development degree in your local area, or somewhere in your country, then by all means go for it. But just make sure that you know what you're signing up for, and that the things that you're signing up for are using modern techniques, and not some techniques from 15 years ago and tools from 15 years ago, because there's no point in learning those. So yeah, I mean, my biggest recommendation is learn Unreal Engine. Maybe learn a tool like Blender. It's great, it's free, it's great to get started. Post your work up on the Facebook groups. Unreal Engine 4 Developers Group, Blender Group, Quixel Tools Group. These are all places where you can get some attention, bring you some attention to your portfolio. If you post on ArtStation and link it on a Facebook group and it looks amazing, it's going to get tons of likes, and you're going to get noticed. So that's my main advice. Pick up the skills, present those skills to people in the real world, and you won't go far wrong. And you'll probably be able to get into a game design job at some point. So I hope you guys found this video useful. And if you like videos like this, be sure to subscribe to the channel. And if you want to learn Unreal Engine 4, go to www.brushify.io/bootcamp, and you can sign up for the mailing list there, and you can sort of follow all the different Brushify Bootcamp tutorials, which I'll be putting out I think I'm doing it maybe one or two, every 1 or 2 months, something like that. I'm putting out a new Brushify bootcamp tutorial. So yeah, cheers guys, and I'll catch you later.